Welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. Today, yet another newsletter. Yes, well, maybe not another, but it's very interesting. I was looking for newsletters, and I have been searching for self-development / self-improvement newsletters. And I found on the heystudio.space site, I do not even know that there is a .space domain, okay. The first one being the 3-to-1 newsletter by James Clear that I've very recently discovered and also reviewed. Then the next one, Seth's blog, which was yesterday's episode as far as I remember. Then we're having Austin Kleon, which is the weekly something with inspiration, I guess. Keep going... or something. I could actually also check this one out. Then we're having the 4-Minute-Books, which is the one that we're going through today. Don't want to say it is a new one, don't want to say it is an old one. It is frequently, I think every week or maybe even twice a week, it is updated. So very cool, very nice. And then the last one, the Intelligent Tuesday by Intelligent Change. And that is it. So as I said before, today we're going through 4-Minute-Books. I have reviewed it, I've been on the site for quite some time, but still I think it is quite useful, especially as well, and this is kind of the whole thing why I like book summaries in general, figuring out whether you like a book or not. And we can have a look at books, a ton of books. I think it's more than 1,000 titles. In 4 minutes, quite, because it is the 4 minutes, the 4minutebooks.com. Let's actually have a look. Motivation, blah 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 blah. Let's have a look at. I'm closing my eyes. Let's choose this one. Motivation and inspiration. That's actually quite funny. What are we having here? The Year of Magical Thinking, Minor Feelings, from August 1st, 2022. Maybe it is good, maybe it is don't want to be. Isn't there more? Read more. There we go. There we go. So, Minor Feelings summary from August 1st, 2021 by Maria Deak. The one-sentence summary, Minor Feelings, explores the purgatory state that Asian Americans are stuck into as immigrants who have an image of non-white and non-black people who don't speak, disturb, or make any impression at all. Innocence is both a privilege and a cognitive handicap, a sheltered unknowingness that's once protracted into adulthood hardens into entitlement. Kathy Park Hong. Asian Americans are part of our society that no one knows about or knows much about, and not many consider them when they think of ethnic groups. Actually, is this really the case? The author starts Minor Feelings with the premise that Asians are an ignored social category, often carrying their lives in the shadows of other major ethnic groups. But as I'm thinking about it, are Asians brought up often during statistics or whatever it might be about? I actually don't have a feeling that this is the case, but I kind of am missing ad blocker here. Don't I have one? I guess I actually have one, but anyway. Although ignorance can sometimes prove to be a good thing, too much of it can be a blessing in disguise. Living in the shadows of other ethnic groups in the USA, Asians grow up with a lack of presence, making it difficult for them to create a strong impression. From their daily activities related to their careers and their personal lives, Asians feel their race stands in the way of a fulfilling existence. Well, I kind of have a feeling that most minorities feel that way, unfortunately, that it just makes sense, I guess. I don't actually know, because I am white and or Caucasian. But still, I mean, when you're always being down talked to your ethnicity, it's quite always about your ethnicity. When you're Asian, when you're black, and whatever. This might be, as I'm thinking about it, or as I can imagine, one thing that really stands in focus very often in reality. And so I do have a feeling that it makes sense for all minorities and to feel like, okay, this is the only reason why I cannot do this, that, and the other thing, and might actually, and probably is to some degree, also the truth, that only because of your fucking ethnicity you cannot do this or you cannot do that, or you're not being successful at this and you're not being successful at that. Still the case in 2021, 2022. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, one could think that at some point people would know better. Here are the 3 most comprehensive lessons from a book that can help us better understand their experience. The author experienced negative emotions caused by her race that build up daily. Even today's culture in the USA promotes, perhaps unwillingly, the outsider status of Asians. I think culture meaning TV series, maybe books, all these public media things, that a lot of people are consuming, and just, things that shape opinions and shape society to some degree, and sometimes even to a very big degree. Hong found peace in English literature and art. Now let's explore these lessons in detail and find out what it truly means to be an Asian American living between foreign faces and racial prejudice. Lesson number 1: self-doubt and negative talk that emerge from your racial identity must stop. The author always felt as if she had to behave, feel, and speak in a certain way because she was an Asian American. These unsettling feelings weren't something that she could put her finger on, yet they were there. Before she realized that there is nothing wrong with her identity, she was in depression. She categorized her negative emotions and feelings of self-doubt, insecurity, and frustration as minor feelings and never really considered them essential. When she was in a poor state of mind, she stumbled upon Richard Pryor, a black comedian who rose to fame by emphasizing racial discrepancies. Finally, someone was saying that she was thinking out loud. However, even Pryor was talking about the differences between black and white people, never the Asians. To her and her community, there were still no existence. When they did get a place in the spotlight, it was always accompanied by a negative event. Her childhood was marked by feelings of shame and constant struggle to fit in. At school, she was bullied. In society, she was feeling excluded, and so was her family. The people she looked up to and expected protection from were as vulnerable as she was. Growing up, childhood left a negative mark on her. Lesson 2. Even today, Asian Americans face a strong sense of non-belongingness. The United States is, at its core, a place for all individuals to live freely and engage in acts that serve their souls in a way that does not harm those around them. The theory sounds simple and it sparks emotion in everyone, but the practice beats us to it. For Hong, the USA was a place of denial of her identity and origins. She states that even in today's world, Asians still face racial injustice as if a shadow was casting over their existence. She recollects one particular memory of a Korean man who shot an American girl, which caused people to protest against all Asian and even publicly harmed them. Luckily, she lives in a good neighborhood where she felt safer, but her fellow friends weren't as lucky then. Another recollection of hers dates back to 2018 when Lorraine O'Grady, an artist, said that white people wouldn't be needed in the future anymore as white supremacy will dominate. Once again, the black and the white community was highlighted, but never the Asian one. I kind of feel that as I'm thinking back and as I'm thinking about things, I don't want to say nowadays, but, which is also fortunate, but still, it is very often about, white and black and white. Really often, Asians are quite seldomly talked about. I also have the feeling now, it might also be a bias, when I'm just reading it. Of course, I'm gonna say that this is the case or whatever. I think there is some sort of bias, but still, it's very interesting. Lesson 3: Art, a group of girlfriends and English literature are what gave Hong peace of mind. Hong was looking for ways to fit in and discover that sense of belonging during her teen years. She knew English was a weak spot for Asian in general, and that people would mock her even more for her poor vocabulary, so she picked up English literature. In time, she found that poetry developed into a real passion, and so did art. She found a group of 2 friends that shared similar experiences in their background and loved art and poetry. Together, they were invincible and they would understand each other better than anyone else. The girls spent a lot of time reading, crafting, and enjoying each other's company, when all of a sudden their friendship fell apart. Hong felt as if one of them was stealing her poetry, and so she cut off ties with her. Still, literature remained part of her identity and helped her discover a refuge where she could be safe and at peace. Minor Feelings is a book about racial injustice that's the progressive state of the USA and the Asian ethnic group finding itself in a state of non-belongingness even today. While the spotlight always falls on white and black people, the Orientals remain silent while maintaining an overall submissive and indifferent impression in the public eye. Therefore, I kind of would also say all Eastern countries, I guess. Indians. I don't know about Mexicans, about Southern people in general. Period. For the author, this state of affairs had deeply affected her childhood and adult life, making her realize that she can either keep living in the shadows or form a voice that could speak up for the people. And yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna end the episode here. See you hopefully soon.